Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Leadership Void Podcast. I'm Enrique and Vince, my co host. We are back home after traveling to another state. And we love these traveling episodes, but today we're back into the Central Florida area with a dynamic veteran doing great things. And I'll let Vince introduce.
Well, good morning, everyone. Yes, very excited indeed. Happy August, everyone. And our dynamic lineup today, we are joined by Valerie Lavin, the CEO of Luminary Global from the greater Tampa Bay area on the west side of Florida. So welcome, Valerie, to our show. Please let us know a little bit about you.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure. Wish that we could be in person, but our busy schedules, that drive between Tampa Bay and Orlando can be a killer, right? So I am a retired Army First Sergeant. I retired in 2014 from Central Command right here at MacDill Air Force Base. From the moment I landed in Tampa, I fell in love with the community and, just living here. So I ended up finding my husband here and stayed in the Tampa area. I've been here since 2011. It's been a long time. um, since then, I've just been fortunate to meet amazing community members and entrepreneurs, which inspired me to start my own company, Luminary Global. Also, I'm co-founder of a nonprofit called Action Zone, and I'm able to take my passion in helping veteran and military spouses, as well as their family members, become entrepreneurs with my role with Bunker Labs, which is a national entrepreneur service organization. Um, Action Zone, I'll talk a little bit about that, um, is we specialize in the ideation stage of that entrepreneurial journey. So helping the entrepreneur really validate their concept, determine really who their customer is, because not everybody is your customer, help them build that business model. And we have that three phases to our program, but all three phases are really designed to support the entrepreneur in that very, very early stage in hopes to help prepare them for more industry specific accelerators and incubators across the country. Bunker Labs, I'm fortunate enough to be the director of ecosystem development, helping the communities on the eastern side of the United States kind of replicate similar to what we have here in Tampa, cultivating the ecosystem, finding out like who are the major players in the entrepreneurial community that can help provide support. What are the resources available in those communities to support the military connected entrepreneurs? And we have a network of volunteer ambassadors across the country that we support, from a national level when we go into the different communities.
Yeah, that's a great journey post service. And I've been able to, and fortunate to have followed you once you were starting Luminary. I remember when you launched it, and also the Action Zone. I saw that all come from nothing to what it is today. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that. You've been doing amazing work, not only in the Tampa area but the Central Florida area, because you do come over here to Orlando where we are,
Yeah.
and participate. Tell us a little bit more about specifically Luminary Global.
Yeah, so Luminary Global was, I formed it in 2016. I was a program manager for an entrepreneurship education grant that was only 8 months long. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do when this grant is over? Um, my husband has extensive experience in government contracting. And with my military background, we thought that, starting Luminary, where we would look to be a government contracting company to provide training and I like to call talent acquisition. It's a little fancy word for recruiting or fancy title for recruiting because that was his background. And it ended up, well, we had a plan that we would wait maybe a year and a half for him to leave his job for us to work together. But things were accelerated. We were fortunate enough to get some retainer gigs, consulting, and building programs. So I was like, hey, I think you need to quit your job because like it's growing. So he did. We've had a couple of iterations of Luminary Global because being an entrepreneur is tough. And what Luminary is now, we provide emergency products to law enforcement, um, military, first responders, citizens, and preppers. So we sell emergency tactical and prepper supplies. Everything from the basic first aid kits to EMT bags, active shooter kits, hurricane survival kits, MREs, you name it, anything that you need to survive, um, whether it's you need it for immediate action or for the long run. If there's a hurricane and you're out of electricity and power for days on end and things like that.
Oh, that's astonishing, amazing. I love to hear that story, the origin story, and how you two tag team to form this amazing company for a great need of our first responders and military.
Mhm.
Um, so the current pandemic hit, and how did Luminary Global dealt with that, and what else are you currently doing to make sure that won't happen again if there was a hiccup
Yeah.
there?
Well, by the nature of our business, because we are emergency products, whenever there is a crisis of any kind, we see a surge in sales. But on the flip side, when everybody realizes that the world is not going to implode, we also have a lot of returns. So, it's kind of this ebb and flow of fulfilling orders and then trying to work with the customers to determine whether or not what they purchased they can return. But yeah, that was it was a long year. We'll just say that between it started early, slowly trickling in. Our customers were slowly trickling in about late January, early February, and by the time March came, it was all hands on deck. We were really working 16, 17 hours a day. We're just a two-man team, so it was quite a bit of excessive hours. But then coming out of 2020 and into 2021, things started to normalize. Our purchasing patterns were what we were accustomed to or are accustomed to. So yeah, it was a crazy beginning of 2020.
Yeah, and a perfect product to
Mhm.
bring out during the
Yeah,
worst of the world's history.
yeah,
And now we've repeated history, but this is our history, right? So it's the worst we've seen, and so a
yeah.
perfect product to launch at that time. And what's funny is that you mentioned the ebb and flow, the in and out. Basically purchasing out of feelings,
Fear,
right?
but it's
Feelings and
fear.
fears, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Um,
so it doesn't look like we're out of the weeds all yet, right?
mm,
Because I've been noticing increases here and there, and every state is having their own challenges. Here in Florida, it looks like we're going back up. I know here in Orlando they're shutting it down for a little bit, but how does the future look like for Luminary, being that we have this uncertainty still?
yeah. Well, the pandemic, with COVID, um, most people are looking to purchase like masks and gloves. And while that's kind of on the peripheral of what we do, that's not our business. So 2020, we had quite a few people, customers come and ask for those items. We did, oblige and carried some masks and stuff like that. One of the things that we did bring on as a result of COVID specifically, I had already been talking with this company. They had created a product that was designed specifically for the military to kill all known and unknown biological hazards. And SARS-CoV-2 was one of those viruses that it was proven effective to eliminate. We were working with them specifically to try to package this chemical. It's a liquid. It's a two-part chemical that has, zero health. Well, I shouldn't say zero because everything in excess, even your coffee or your ice cream, can be not good for you. But it had minimal health concerns, and we were looking for a way for them to package that so that we could help our first responders who have firefighters specifically, because of the exposure to smoke. They have a high a chance of having cancer from the carcinogens. So when COVID hit, we were like, okay, we know we have this product that can help to eliminate the virus and then put people at ease, right? So we did bring that product on as a in its normal state of delivery, packaging. So that was one of the really the only sustainable thing that we did. And when I say sustainable, is that we still carry it. The challenge with a company like ours or a small business trying to carry masks and gloves and get those to the customers, but more specific, the small businesses that can't afford to purchase, in bulk like Costco or, Walmart. We were challenged with, competing with those bigger companies, even some, bigger companies in our own industry, because we couldn't compete with the price point that, they were offering. And if we sold it like on Amazon for MSRP, then we were accused of price gouging. And I'm like, well, MSRP isn't price gouging. So yeah, that was some of those instances that we, or those were interesting experiences for us. In the future, we won't be focused on any pandemic, like COVID type products, other than the chemical that I had mentioned. But with Luminary, we have a very robust e-commerce site where people can just go and shop and get commercial off the shelf, already pre-packaged and pre-configured kits. Or other items, we sell ammo pouches and vests and like I said, MREs and waterproof matches, all those kind of things. But what another service we have is customization. Sometimes those commercial off-the-shelf items just don't fit the specific need of that first responder or that law enforcement. So just give an example. One of the local sheriff's department that we've been working with, they wanted a bleeding control kit that not only fit in their cargo pocket, but also at a specific place on their angel armor. And working with them not only on the dimensions of the kit, the bag, but also what I call the guts of the kit, the supplies that are inside. And then with my my military experience, I was like, okay, let's talk about functionality. When you're in the midst of an emergency, because we all know, or most, or we have that are in the profession of saving lives, right? No, it's not the puncture wound or the gunshot wound that's going to cause a person to expire. It's the bleed out, right? So I helped to design like a quick release on this tab. It has loops. In the loops is each supply that they need in order to stop the bleeding. So we worked with, I worked with the department doctor, like how do you train them? What supplies are they issued? And, those kind of, and then we give them an opportunity to field test it. I go to the designer, I'm like, this is what we're looking at, a couple iterations of the design, they field test it so they know that it does exactly what they are expecting it to do. So it's kind of like, if you think about business, we diversified, we got the e-commerce site, which makes money while we sleep, so to speak, even though we still have to do a lot of work to fulfill those orders. But then we can go to the heroes that that are out there in our communities, and work with them and get them the actual kit that they need.
Absolutely, giving those wonderful kits to the heroes that need it in the right order too, because
Yeah.
when things happen, we need to have things fashioned expediently.
Mhm.
So thank you
Well,
for
it takes
that.
the thought process out of it, right? And so, and when you have a critical patient in front of you, or a victim in front of you, it's like every second counts. So we took away a few seconds
Mhm.
of thinking.
Absolutely did. And you are the epitome of the entrepreneur. You have it, the DNA in your blood. So let's pop the hood open and let's talk about you as a leader. Um,
Mhm.
let's just share now, as we the leadership void, what professional development areas do you focus or work on to improve your capabilities as a dynamic and awesome leader that you are?
Well, I mean, I really just being an example, you know. Uh, Being entrepreneurial, you see voids in the market, whatever the market is, and we'll use Action Zone as an example. We saw a void in the entrepreneurial education and training space, whereas not only are we helping, or was there a need to help people, aspiring entrepreneurs in the ideation stage, but kind of stay with them for a little bit longer beyond the, okay, you did your 12-week course, here's your certificate, and good luck to you. So uh, we created this program to fill the voids that we saw, and as a result, we're 3 years old. We just did our annual surveys. We had 43% of our cohort members that have actually completed the program complete the survey, and if anybody's tried to get surveys done, 43% is a huge number. That alone is very telling in the the need for the type of program that we've developed, and just the organization as a whole, that they were willing to take time to complete the survey. But two numbers out of that survey I'll share. Our members, we've had about 140 complete our cohorts. We keep them small and very intimate, because it is a very scary place to be when you're, trying to put your whole life on the line for a business. But they're reporting over 200 employees and nearly $15 million in generated revenue. And that's just in 3 years. You take those companies, not only are they making an impact in our communities, or when I say communities, I mean like the greater Tampa Bay area, but the state of Florida and beyond. I mean, like Luminary Global, we are e-commerce. We sell all over the country, you know. So, uh, okay, so your original question was leadership, right? It's just being an example. So, if you see something that needs to be fixed, or there's a void that needs to be filled, step up and be a part of that. I believe in being available to mentor if someone seeks you out for mentorship. I believe in being an advocate for whatever your cause is. Mine is entrepreneurship, and there's a reason why I went in that direction. Then give your time freely. I think that's the best form of leadership out there, because you're on boards, you're volunteering, you're in the trenches, showing people that this is important. It's important to me, and I'm going to be a part of the solution.
Yeah, and Vince and I wholeheartedly believe in giving the time and mentorship. We mentor here locally through several organizations, and I know that you do as well. Um, you know, it's easy to portray, and we're highlighting you today, right? After so many years of service and so many years in the trenches, trying to establish yourself as an entrepreneur and provide a viable company with a viable product. And so everybody sees our chapter 20, right? They don't see the 1 through 19 where all the rough edges were.
Mm,
So there are a lot of emerging leaders looking towards us, individually and as a collective, saying, "Man, I really want to be that. I want to do that." What would you suggest, or what advice would you give to a budding entrepreneur, a budding leader that's just coming up right now?
well, a couple of things. When it comes to most people who have served, whether it's military or law enforcement, people who have been in professions serving the community, they are lifelong servants. They want to be involved in the community. They want to make the community better, even beyond, their time in service. What I and generally that means we all have a bleeding heart, like for every cause. And I have had to over the years make it a decision that while yes, veteran suicide is important and homelessness is important and drug addiction is important, and foster children aging out of the system is important. I There's only so many hours in the day, and there's only one Valerie. So I had to just be hyper focused on what I felt was now my new calling, right? And that's entrepreneurship. So, while all of those other issues are important for me, I can only focus on one, and that one for me is military connected entrepreneurs. So, if there's any advice, I would say find your cause, find your mission, and stay focused on that. If with running your own business, if you're always um, focused on causes that don't bring in, that there's no return on investment, not only for your heart but for your business, then it's probably something that you can not necessarily, you don't have to walk away from it. You can support it, but there'll be another time. Like take a knee with that right now, and then you can go back to it.
No, definitely making these decisions, taking the knee, understanding there's only one Valerie is important
Mhm.
because we all face challenges.
Yeah.
And the question really is, how do you handle challenges you face or currently facing?
Um, well, the one thing the Army trained me very well on, it was the ability to compartmentalize. Compartmentalize emotions and thoughts. And when there is a challenge that's presented, I just have to push everything aside. I do that probably too well. Focus on the challenge that's presented or has presented itself to be the most important at the moment. you know, get through that challenge and then bring everything back together. Yeah, we've had to do that quite a few times over the years because, especially when you run your business, like, or when you're an entrepreneur, you have a business. If something happens, you can't just shut down, because especially small business, if you are a solopreneur or you have a small team of two, three, or four, and especially if you're the founder or the CEO, like business has to keep going. And if you shut down, who's making money? you know, and that goes for profits and not for profits. Being in the entrepreneurship education space in since late 2015, when I got the first opportunity. Worked with a lot of entrepreneurs with various concepts that they are interested in trying to develop, both for profit and not for profit. And I always tell the not for profit folks, because they're like, well, this program isn't really for us. We're not in it to make money. If you've already failed your mission, because if you think for a second that for your nonprofit that you're not in the business of making money, then you're going about it wrong. it's a tax designation. You have to make money to operate, in order to fulfill your the mission that you've decided to is your cause, right? So yeah, that's definitely one piece of advice for nonprofit people. You got to know the business of running your business in order to serve the people that that you've chose to serve.
And you mentioned earlier, and now on several occasions, the causes, right? Causes, especially if you're coming out of the military, you got to really focus. And I love when you said about focusing, hyper focusing on your new cause, your new mission.
Mhm.
And new missions and new causes, they cause change, right? They
Yeah.
really drive us to change. So,
Mhm.
what kind of strategies do you build around change itself and how to handle that?
Well, really, it just depends on what the challenge is. With Luminary, we had a challenge where we were a subcontractor on a prime contract, and it went south. We've started businesses with other, another veteran couple, veteran and military spouse couple. That didn't work out. Um, we had to quickly um, so with Luminary, we had some business relationships that didn't work out. As a result, like our revenue came to a streaking halt. We knew that we were going to someday bring products into Luminary to diversify our revenue streams. When the revenue came to a streaking halt and we had to hire a lawyer, we, being entrepreneurs, quickly really rallied. We scrambled. We started calling manufacturers because we're like, okay, we got to bring products to Luminary much faster than we were expecting. The first company that gave us an opportunity to be a distributor was a tactical medical company. And that's kind of how Luminary, as you see it now, was born. You know, um, but I believe in everything happened for a reason, and there could be no better place for where we are as entrepreneurs. When I say we, me and my husband, as entrepreneurs, as business partners, and this particular business. Um, these types of emergency supplies are important to me because I've been, in the field. I've been, on deployments. All my battle buddies, if you will. I know how important it is to have the right gear. And then with my husband, he's kind of a techie, but enough to be dangerous, but enough to really, set us up. And so all the technical, the back office technical stuff, um, building the e-commerce site, and having the website and the way it is now, um, it Luminary Global as a products company is suits both of our skill sets and our experience to a T. So um, yeah, it's just t- taking it head on and just making it happen, right? Because we got to survive.
Indeed, survival is the key. You definitely planned a lot of your pivots and your strategies and your changes. And
Mhm.
for folks that are listening in, how do they contact you, Valerie, or Luminary Global?
Well, our website is luminaryglobal.com. They can reach me on my LinkedIn. It's Valerie Ellis Lavin. And then my email is vellis at luminaryint.com.
Outstanding. And we're going to have that information as part of the video and show notes for all those wanting to reach out to Valerie and Luminary Global. Valerie, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate not only what you've done in the military space, but what you're doing out in the veteran entrepreneur space, and it's very encouraging. So, folks, reach out to Valerie. Now, if you want to reach out to us for any leadership centric things, we're going to ask you to send that to the leadership void at gmail.com. Now, that's where you're going to reach us. if you have any requests for speakers, guests, or any topics that you would like for us to cover, and I'll remind everybody, we do have our 1st and 15th radio check. And so we're coming up on that here at the end of the week. So follow us, subscribe, write us however you want, the leadership void at gmail.com.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for all those who have served and currently serving, we thank you. And Valerie has, and her company, the Luminary Global, has a ticket if something goes south. So they are there.
Yes, be prepared for the unexpected. Get that stuff first. Let me tell you, just a real quick, and I know you guys are trying to close out, my own personal experience in being prepared, and I'll two real quick. First, Hurricane Ida that came through the Tampa Bay area, or Florida, in November of last year. We were it was on Veterans Day. We were at a Veterans Day event, an evening event. My husband comes up to me, shows me the security camera that he's watching on his phone. He's like, "We got to get home now." The water, we could see the water, coming up to our driveway. So as we literally floated home, he wasn't very happy with me on this one. The water we were home maybe 10, 15 minutes, the water breached the house, and had never done that before. So we had the shop back out, trying to suck up the water. And then my husband goes into the laundry room, and I hear a couple of explicit words, and the doggy door is in the laundry room, and we had not thought to shut it. So the water was just pouring in. So we're, trying to, again, get the shop back to suck up the water that was had come in. And then all of a sudden, let me tell you, it was just seconds before our entire house was consumed with water. We ended up having just over 5 inches of water throughout the entire house. But as the water was breaching the house, consuming the house, I pulled out our Luminary Global Hurricane Survival Kit. I opened, it's in a 5-gallon bucket. I pulled out the radio. I pulled out we have a flashlight that you just wind up so that we can make sure that the cell phones are charged, because it's got a charger in it. I pulled out the lantern, and as soon as I turned that lantern on, which it's automatic, you just open it and it's bright, the power goes out. So me and the dogs or me and my husband and the dogs, we just sat on the couch and just prayed that the water didn't breach the couch, right? So definitely be prepared for the unexpected. Another one, I burnt myself like pretty bad on our new air fryer. I don't even know how I did it. Probably trying to do too many things at once, but pulled out my first aid kit. It had the burn cream, wrapped it up, and I kept on cooking dinner. So, we are a believer in being prepared for the unexpected, and we use our own products here in the whole Lavin household.
Absolutely. If you even have hurricane, natural disasters, floods, burns, please, people, Luminary Global is there to serve and help you out. So thank you, Valerie, again, for being on our show. Again, as Enrique mentioned, you can reach us at theleadershipvoid@gmail.com. We also trying to reach our 200 subscriber on our YouTube channel, The Leadership Void. For those who do click subscribe, they're going to enter the drawing into winning a book called Standing O, the Salute Edition by Scott McGregor. So we hope you tune in for that and join us there. We do this every Wednesday. Next week, we have a dynamic guest. And Radio Check, the 1st and the 15th. We are there live on LinkedIn, so please check us out. We are bringing some battle buddies, some great news and great information coming up. But today we are here with Valerie. Thank you for your time. Continue forward with Luminary Global, and we'll see you around the corner, hopefully one day here in Central Florida.
Hopefully soon. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, everybody.